Now, my friends, time for the story. So let's see what's in the box. What's in the box? I wonder. Here we go. Oh, well. What have we got here? Look at this. It's a little spinning wheel. Woo, woo, woo. Now, there are lots of stories with spinning wheels. You're probably thinking, could it be Rumpelstiltskin? I wonder. Could it be Sleeping Beauty? I wonder. But no, my friends, this is actually the tale of the three spinners. Not another story with three in the title, you're thinking. What is it about stories and three? Well, three is a very, very important number. And I thought, seeing I had done the three sillies on Wednesday and the three golden apples yesterday, I might as well do a third story about three, hence we have the three spinners. Now, before I start the story, I better just explain a little bit about these things. Spinning wheels. Lots of households used to have these things, spinning wheels. Actually, it should be that way around because the pedal goes like this. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. A lot of households had these, and they would use these for spinning sheep's wool into knitting wool, or they would use them for spinning this stuff, which is called flax, which comes from a plant, a bit like grass, and they would comb the flax, and this would be spun on a spinning wheel into something called linen. Linen is quite an expensive fabric, but it does feel so nice against the skin. Oh, you're in for a treat. So, are you ready? Are you steady? Are you a bright pink teddy? Of course you are. Let's have a drink together. I hope you've got your cups of tea and your biscuits with you. So, once upon a time, there was a girl called Mary, and she hated to spin. She hated the wetting of the thumb and the twisting of the flax and the pump with her foot and the spinning of the wheel. And you had to do all these three things together. And it was really tricky, and she couldn't do it because it was like trying to rub your tummy, tap your foot, and tap yourself on top of your head, or your fez, if you're wearing one at the time. She found it impossible. Her foot would go one way, the wheel would go the other, and most times she would end up in a knot. Yes, she hated it. In fact, she said quite often, I hate spinning. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate all the spinning wheels in the world. And this was normally followed by her tramping out of the house and slamming the door. Bang! Just like that. She hated spinning. And of course her mother, Eliza, was a little bit embarrassed about this. You see, Eliza had won prizes for her spinning. Yeah, trophies and certificates. Loads of things all over the wall for the best spinner of linen and the best spinner of wool. She was a very accomplished spinner. So she was embarrassed to have a daughter who absolutely hated spinning. And actually, Eliza belonged to a spinning circle. Now, that doesn't mean lots of people who stand around in a circle just getting dizzy the whole time. No, they would sit around with their spinning wheels and they would chat and they would spin and they would chat and they would spin. And that's actually how a lot of these stories are still remembered today. And they would sit around chatting away and talk and chat and talk and spin and talk and chat and make up stories. And she loved it, Eliza did. But of course, there was no way on earth that Mary would ever become part of one of these circles. Anyway, one lady at one of the spinning circles was a good friend of Eliza, and she was also the Queen's chambermaid. Eliza, Eliza, tell me, please, tell me about your Mary. How is Mary these days? Oh, she's fine, said Eliza, with her fingers crossed, hoping that her friend the chambermaid wouldn't ask her anything at all about her daughter's spinning abilities. And how is her spinning? What's her spinning like? Oh, fine, said Eliza. Oh, I thought she would make a fine spinner. I always thought she was very good at that. I mean, she must be. I mean, being your daughter, after all, Eliza. Do you know what, though? I find it really hard to spin these days because my fingers are they're so stiff and crunchy. Sometimes my fingers feel a bit like twiglets, and I find it really hard to sort of, lick my fingers and twist the flax when making linen. How about we get your daughter Mary to do some spinning? Oh, no, it's fine, said Eliza. Oh, go on. She could even spin for the Queen, Eliza. Wouldn't that be amazing? Spinning for the Queen, Eliza. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Oh, no. Oh, I insist, said the chambermaid. I insist, Eliza. It is the least I could do. No need to thank me. I'm sure you'll get well paid as well. Bye. So the chambermaid went back to the palace and told the Queen all about Mary. But of course, Eliza thought no more of this, and she went about her business thinking, oh, I'm sure she won't even mention it. She was just being kind. And of course, Mary hadn't heard a word. So the following day, when there was a knock at the door and the royal messenger was standing there, Mary didn't know what on earth was going on. Her ladyship requests the attendance at the palace of young Mary. What? Mother? What's going on? Why does the Queen want me to come along to the palace? And Eliza thought, uh-oh, what's my friend gone and done? Uh-oh. But Mary went along to the palace, and straightway she was met by the Queen. Well, my dear, I've got an interesting proposition for you. I have heard that you are rather splendid at spinning. Yes, I've heard you are splendid at spinning, particularly spinning flax into linen. And I have to say, oh my gosh, I absolutely adore linen. I love the way it swishes and slides, and I like to sort of swish it to the left and to the right and back to the left again. My goodness me, I absolutely adore linen. Now listen to me, my dear. I have 3 rooms in the basement filled with lots and lots of flax, and I'll give you 3 days to turn all of the flax into linen. Hold on, my dear. Hold on. If you manage to do it, well, then you can marry my son, Algernon. Wow! Now this was a game changer. You see, in those days, there weren't any pop stars, there weren't any footballers, there weren't any famous actors. No. There were just princes and princesses. And I have to say, Mary's bedroom, the walls were covered in posters of Prince Algernon. In fact, they weren't posters, because posters didn't exist in those days. There were just lots and lots of drawings of Algernon that she had done herself with crayon. And at the bottom of each one, it said, I heart Algernon. Anyway, back to the story. Well, my dear, I'll be very, very, very pleased if you could do this. But, of course, if you don't think you can do it, well, you'll be most severely punished along with your mother. So, chop, chop. Get to work right now. Bye. Oh, dear. Oh, dearie me. Oh, dearie, dearie me. What on earth was poor Mary going to do? She couldn't spin. She couldn't spin for toffee nuts. But there she was, in room number 1, in the basement, crying her eyes out. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. And then the door opened. And there was a hustling and a bustling as in came 3 rather strange-looking ladies. One had a lower lip that was so big it looked a bit like a soggy pizza. And it hung over her chin like this. The second lady had a thumb that was the size of a loaf of bread. Ugh. And the third one had a foot the size of a frying pan. And if it weren't for the fact that they were so smiley and they had such jolly voices, well, Mary would have been quite terrified, quite frankly. We are the sisters spinning 3. We love to spin and we'll do it for free. We love the feel of the golden flax. Don't you worry, my dear, just sit and relax. What? Said Mary, drying the tears from her eyes. What? You'll spin all this flax for me? For free? Yes, we are the spinning sisters 3. We love to spin and we'll do it for free. We love the feel of the golden flax. Don't worry, my dear, just sit and relax. Well, that's really, really generous of you, said Mary. Are you sure there's not something I can do for you in return? Well, there is a little thing you could do, a little thing. When we've finished our work and you marry that lovely, lovely Algernon. Mary went bright red at this point. Very hot as well. Oh, well, we do love a royal wedding, you know. We're just like our 4th sister, the one who was in the story yesterday. Oh, she loves a royal wedding too. But when we're invited, when it's time for the royal wedding, will you please invite all 3 of us here? All 3 of us. And you've got to introduce us as your cousins. Oh, certainly, I can do that. Certainly. And also, you couldn't just fetch us a snack, could you? When we spin, we do get rather hungry. Certainly, I'll do that. And then the 3 sisters began to spin. And it was the most weird yet wonderful sight Mary had ever seen. The one with a lip the size of a huge floppy pizza, whose lip hung over her chin. Well, it was her job to lick the flax. The second one, the one who had a thumb the size of a loaf of bread, she would wipe her thumb on her sister's lower lip like this, and she would spin the flax into a fine, fine twist. And the third one, the one who had a foot the size of a frying pan, she began to pump on the pedal. And the 3 of them, they all joined together as if they were one person with 3 heads, 6 arms and 6 legs. And they spun, and they spun, and they spun. And this went on for about an hour. Have you got an hour? Oh, I don't think you've got an hour. At the end of spinning, they'd finished room number 1. Well, after a couple of hours of just sitting around and chatting, they could hear footsteps outside. The three sisters jumped behind the bed which the Queen had put into the room, and they hid, giggling. In came the Queen, and she was absolutely amazed by the amount of linen. My goodness me, I am absolutely amazed by all this linen. Look at that, there's miles and miles and miles of the stuff, and oh, the quality is so fine. Oh, I can't wait to have this made into a dress. Then I can swish the dress around from the left and to the right and to the right and to the left. My goodness me, you are such a clever girl. Oh, well done, well done, well done. Would you like a snack? Oh, I am rather hungry, said Mary. Can you make it a really super massive snack? So the Queen went to fetch pies and pastries and cakes and jellies and brought it into the room and left it there with Mary, thinking this is quite a lot of food for one girl. Anyway, the door closed, and straight away the three sisters jumped out and they started munching on all the food, and the four of them had a perfect party. Well, after the perfect party, the three sisters just vanished just like that. And the following day, the Queen came along and asked Mary to repeat the whole thing in the second room. Well, this time she didn't burst into tears. The Queen left, closed the door, and straight away the three sisters appeared. We are the spinning sisters three. We love to spin and we'll do it for free. We love the feel of the golden flax. Don't worry, my dear, just sit and relax. And straight away, the one with a big lip, the lip the size of a soggy pizza, she licked the linen, the flax. The one with a thumb the size of a loaf of bread wiped her thumb on the sister's lip and began to twist this. And the one with a foot the size of a frying pan, she began to pedal. And again this went on for another hour, and at the end of that hour, no more flax, lots and lots of linen. Footsteps outside, the three sisters dived behind the bed, the second bed, in the second room. In came the Queen. She was absolutely amazed by the amount and the quality of the linen. Oh my goodness me, my dear. Hold on, Queen. She had a beard. Oh my goodness me, my dear. The quality of this is even better. You are such a clever girl. My goodness me. Oh, well done, well done, well done. Would you like a snack? Oh, yes, please. Can you make it a massive snack? I'm really hungry. I get quite hungry when I'm spinning. So the Queen got even more food, even more pies, even more pastries, even more jellies, and gave this to the girl. Left, closed the door, and back came the three spinners, three spinning sisters, and the four of them had a perfect party. And the moment they'd finished the food and finished the perfect party, the three sisters vanished just like that. Well, the following day, exactly the same happened. The Queen got Mary into the third room, asked her to spin all of the flax into linen. The three sisters came along and, of course, spun it all into the most perfect, most wonderful linen anyone had ever seen. The Queen came in, was amazed by this. Of course, the three sisters are hiding behind the third bed. The Queen was amazed by the quality and the quantity of all this linen and said, well done, my dear, would you like a snack? And Mary, of course, said, yes, please, make it a big snack, will you? I'm super hungry. Anyway, eventually, plans were made for the royal wedding. A week went by, everyone baked cakes, everyone made biscuits, everyone put bunting up. And the biggest and best wedding you ever did see took place. And of course, my goodness me, Mary was so happy to be marrying Algernon. And I have to say, Algernon was quite taken by Mary. The two of them were very much in love. Oh no, you're thinking, not another love story. Why won't this guy just stop his love stories? We're sick of it. I'm sorry, but I do like a bit of a love story. Anyway, the day of the wedding, the door opens of the palace, and in walks, or rather in bounced, 3 of the oddest ladies that Algernon had ever seen. All orange and purple spots, all pink and silver diagonal stripes, all purple and yellow tartans, feathers and bows everywhere, sequins popping and dropping on the floor. He was quite taken aback by this, and if it weren't for the fact that they had such jolly voices and such smiley eyes, he would have been quite terrified of them. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. He went up to the first of these sisters, the one whose lip was the size of a floppy pizza, the one whose lip hung over her jaw like this. And he said to her, who are you? Oh, I'm one of Mary's... Sorry, wrong voice. I'm one of Mary's sisters. And how did you get a lip like that? Oh, from licking the flax, my dear. From licking the flax. He went to the second sister. Who are you? Oh, I'm one of Mary's cousins as well. Yes, I'm one of the cousins as well. But how did you get the thumb as big as a loaf of bread? Oh, from twisting the flax, my dear, from twisting the flax. And he went to the third one whose foot was the size of a frying pan. And how did you get a foot the size of a frying pan, said Algernon. Oh, from pedalling and pedalling at the spinning wheel. Well, at this moment, Algernon was terrified that his wife might end up with a lip the size of a floppy pizza, that his wife might end up with a thumb the size of a loaf of bread, that his wife might end up with a foot the size of a frying pan. And as for the amount of food that she would eat as well, my goodness me, he was so worried. So he banned her from spinning ever again. He forbade her, or forbade her, or foreboded her ever to sit behind the wheel of a spinning wheel. The wheel of a spinning wheel. And do you know what? From that day on, they both lived happily ever after. And this, my friends, well, this is the end of the yarn which I have just spun for you. Take care, my friends. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Look after each other. And there might be a little, not so much a competition, but a little task you might be able to complete over this weekend. So keep your eyes fixed on that Facebook thing, TTFN,